Hello, hello. Gosh, those are amazing emotional rides that I go through every day, and occasionally they get a little bit out of control, and I cry, and sometimes I scream into the pillow. But I have not been doing this lately. I have cried very quietly, but with a lot of tears. And yesterday I had this amazing feeling. I don't know. I just need to talk about it to my tablet therapist. I don't know what else to do. I don't have anyone to talk to about this. And it's a very isolated existence that I live, and I talk to my husband occasionally about it, but he doesn't see it like I do. He thinks if I talk about it or cry about it, he calls it primal therapy, and with that it is dismissed, put into a drawer, and the drawer is closed. Case closed. Basket case filed, put into the farthest corners of the librarian walk-in closet, and let dust grow on it for the next 50 years until someone else comes and pulls it out who can do more with that information. Okay, so but that doesn't really pull it for me, and that's why I use my wonderful, amazing therapist orange Nabi tablet, which is amazing to hold in the hand. I've tried many tablets. This one here is the ultimate. It's not as user-friendly as I would wish for, but neither are the other tablets, so the other ones are even worse. So, but yeah, this is too bad that the Amazon Kindle, my Kindle page, is no longer supported on the Nabi. I did an update and that completely removed my Kindle e-reader altogether. It was an update on the e-reader which completely updated itself out, which is a trick to the customer, and not one single person or expert from Amazon or Nabi was able to help me with this. So I figure, yeah, some kind of corporate hand washing so that people will buy another tablet or buy a Kindle e-reader device, which I will never do because I tried it, it broke after 1 month. So no, I prefer my Nabi, and it is a great device, and I don't know what Nabi gets out of that deal, but anyway, so I always trail. Yeah, there's my artwork, and the photo is of my artwork. It's not finished yet. It's one of my artworks. It's a fold out thing. It's a very beautiful thing. It's actually the packagement, the outer package of the Nabi tablet that I have completely reused, recycled, and repainted into something else, into a beautiful, beautiful blue god in dog form shape. But anyway, I wanted to talk about how that Jason Segel was making me feel. And people will think, no, oh gosh, he has a crush on that guy. And what else do people expect when someone says David Segel made me feel something? They'll think, oh, it's gotta be something sexual, sensual, romantic in nature or something. No, it is a lot sadder and a lot heavier than that. He reminds me of my brother, okay? And to some people there might be something fun. To me, it is the past staring me right in the face. Okay? Yeah, he looks almost identical to my brother. And my brother has almost as much self-esteem, which is high, because I've never seen anyone with such self-esteem as that Jason Segel ever in my entire life. I mean, I'm fascinated. It's like some kind of genius type of self-esteem that exceeds my wildest imaginations of self-esteem that could ever be generated by a human being. But it is fascinating to me, and it sure does create some kind of gut feelings that are not that easy to describe. But I want to try, because this is helping me to talk about this, and I want to figure out how I can, the only thing that I could come up so far in the letter to my brother is that it is the past that's coming up of, the past. And that's why I can identify myself with David Foster Wallace, through whom I, of course, found out about Jason Segel in the first place. I never heard about Jason Segel before because I'm not a fan of comedy shows or films. I don't like Cameron Diaz and any of these comedy romance flicks out there. They bore me into pieces. It's insanely boring and flat material. So, but I mean, he's nice to look at, and he is definitely, yeah. I mean, any woman is gonna like go nuts over him, of course. But yeah, and I admit he's obviously gorgeous, but that's not why I make this video. Besides that, I like men who care, So I don't care how someone looks like, as long as they care. Caring is for me the most important thing. So I don't know anything about Jason Segel, whether he cares or not. It's very hard for me to read. I can't tell from what I've seen so far. But he does not strike me as having any not the slightest bit of resemblance to David Foster Wallace internally. So externally, yeah, I guess I can see that. I can see why they chose him, or why he would be used as for that role. He's tall and has the same hair color and little bit similar facial features, just little bit similar eyes or something, and is very well articulated and well read, educated, and somewhat understands David Foster Wallace and his generation. Although we're a generation above him, but he does somewhat understand it. And at least intellectually, I would think. But I don't think that he would be fully understanding David Foster Wallace on an emotional basis, and neither would he understand me on an emotional basis, because I don't think that Jason Segel has ever experienced that depth of self-doubt, insecurity, awkwardness, and depression, and bleakness. I don't think he talked about it in a Charlie Rose interview, which was like 3 minutes long. Some kind of teaser. Do I need to pay for that interview now, or I don't know what Charlie Rose is trying to do with this teaser. What's the purpose of it? Why can't he put this entire an hour-long interview on YouTube? What's the problem with it? The Bernie interview is Charlie Rose paid for Bernie and Bernie campaign, anti-Hillary campaign? I don't know. I'm raising all of these questions. You see, this is what's going on in my head all the time, like non-stop, non-stop questioning. I mean, one can really take questioning to another level, and we can drive oneself completely nuts, and that's what explains the need for Mozartkugeln all the time, and marzipan by that company. I forgot the name now. It's a specific company from Lübeck, Germany, and it's like an obsession with marzipan chocolate, and it comes out of this complete despair of having to question everything all the time, and thinking about it, and thinking from one thing to another, and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the material, and until I am at rock bottom, sort of. I don't know, I guess it goes deeper yet. I think there's no end to depths, and where I get into complete despair and think that the world is just a desolate place for a highly sensitive person, too desolate to exist. Yeah, but then I come back to ground zero and see there are marzipan loaves out there that could be enjoyed. There's my artwork and my dog, Kenny, and so, there are things that are good in this world. Vegan food, vegan marzipan balls, and there are good people on this planet. There are a few good people on this planet, and it's nice to know that. It's like an anchor for me. It's like, man, there are nice people on the planet too. So it's not completely. We can send each other mental hearts, cyber hearts, and say, I'm here for you. You are not alone. You're not alone in this desolate landscape of psychopath and sociopath and immature pranksters, trolls, and bullies. There are other people who are sensitive, serious, depressed, helpless often. Yeah, so it's good to know. It's very good to know that there's about 3% of humanity who care, who know what you're going through, who have Asperger's and short bangs, without being into dominatrix stuff. Short bangs because it's more practical, and because I say no to being some kind of weekly beggar for love, some kind of weekly, and this is what the feeling really is, what I want to talk about. It's like in my past, I have tried all kinds of haircuts. I've cut it this short, all my hair with the fingernail scissors one time when I was 19, because I had body image issues, and I associated my face with being too sensitive and vulnerable, and then I made the mistake of cutting my hair off, which, you know, revealed more of my sensitivity, made me much more sensitive, much more vulnerable, without the bangs, you know, with this showing my big forehead and this big, like, alien gray ET head, and feeling vulnerable, and, you know, this face, this sensitive face, particularly when I was a child, this infinitely sensitive and vulnerable little girl who had nightmares of bathroom tiles and the perfume bottles of my grandmother, painting girls with penises that were red and chopped off hands and heads, and nightmares over nightmares over nightmares, trauma that is totally unconscious and completely cluttered up with defenses and defense images and dust and debris of mind clutter in order to obscure it. And my 50 years of therapy work, I don't think has come that much closer to it yet, primal therapy included. And I don't know what to do to get to it. I can just try to go with the flow and see what kind of stuff comes up, you know, when I see something like the interviews with David Foster Wallace and that guy who played him, Jason Segel, who brings up all these psychopaths in my past. It's the opposite persona of David Foster Wallace. David Foster Wallace is who I identify myself with 100%, except that I'm a woman. But you know, it's the same insecurity, awkwardness, depression, bleakness, loneliness, not being understood, not feeling understood, because most people don't understand that type of despair. They don't know what that's about. They think They think we're just troublemakers, or they think we're just Querulanten. I don't know the word in English, but Querulanten. Someone who is the typical party spoiler, someone who questions things, someone who accuses, someone who sees too much. Yeah, David Foster Wallace, he wouldn't. He would also just by default stand square against all of this, the immature party type of conversations. That there were more than just boring for him. I think he felt like it felt desolate to him, and I totally 100% can identify myself with that, and that's why I don't have friends. I can't be on someone's party, whether it is a redneck from the area here who barbecues Piggy and Daisy and has a good laugh while chomping on these highly sentient beings, and having fur coat in the closet and gold necklaces with Christian crucifixes on it, and who say God bless America and something like this. I mean, it's like, that's really, to me, those are the last humans that Friedrich Nietzsche is talking about. The last human is exactly that. The utmost psychopath, without any kind of empathy, without culture, even without intellect, without anything, completely bland and bleak, and kind of like criminal type of atmosphere, prison atmosphere is that. And it's to be subjected to that, to have to see that, this type of thing. I've seen it a lot in this area here, and I had to withdraw immediately. The landscape is nice, the ocean is nice, the forest, but I have to make a real large circle around those folks, because it will make me suicidal to be around them, to hear them talk, at Walmart when I go shopping, to hear them talk, and the women peeing up to their men and saying, I learned all the Bible verses, I learned it all, what Jesus said. They don't have a clue what Jesus really said, but yet they want to appease their husbands. And I mean, this society is, to me, that's the lowest of the lowest. I also count violent criminals into that, and radical other religious groups who chop people's heads off and so on. I count them all into that category of extreme psychopath without any compassion, who need to have a shitty religion give them some guidelines that are in themselves completely psychopathic. So that is, for me, that's the ultimate depression creation material, So if anyone who wants to become depressed for some kind of acting role, those are the societies to look at on YouTube. But I don't recommend it to anyone. if you love your body and mind. So, but then, okay, then go a step further, go a step above. Then you have people who try to make it better, try to be better, try to be, try to be more sophisticated, like a lot of Buddhists, people who do yoga. Most of them don't have a clue what love is either, but at least they try. They get a little glimpse, like maybe this is better. So, and then step higher than that, we have very deep thinking intellectuals. Most of them also have no idea what love is. I've talked to them on Facebook, on the internet. I know what I'm talking about. Most of them have no idea what love is. Most of them still have some religion still lingering at the back, like the religion is their compass. But they're daring, they're leaping out of it. But always come back to Mama, to the Mama religion when things get a little scary. That's okay, it's okay, but they don't have a clue on what love is. They boast about it. Yeah, the meaning of life, Aristotle, Socrates. They talk about Heidegger. No, they have no clue what love is. Neither had these philosophers. And it's funny, they also always gravitate to the philosophers who really didn't have a clue what love is. And love's the most important subject of all. It's more important than any other equation. And I don't know how to get it across. This sounds probably bad and arrogant or something, or sounds kaugummi clownish, I don't know. But I try to explain it as good as I can without editing. I want to stop this constant editing and editing out. And I just want to learn how to talk and just be myself and just talk to a friend, and do some free flow thinking, some free flow association, which is always the most creative and most productive, and invite also other people to join in and hopefully make a video for me about it and discuss these things and dock onto the different points that I'm making. I invite all of them, all people, as long as they're nice. If they're psychopaths, they're invited to join the discussion. One psychopath blocked me because he cannot imagine that someone is sensitive, and caring. They must be, if they say they're caring, they must be bragging, and therefore they are immediately going into the drawer of narcissist. Case closed. Because they cannot understand, and to them it's cheesy, of course. It's always cheesy when someone says something. I saw it on TV. It's like they can't understand that someone cares out of caring. They figure they must be doing this to grandstand or to make themselves feel bloated or grand or whatever. They cannot understand someone is doing this because they care. They can't understand someone is devastated about the suffering and crying. How can they do this? Why doesn't she just go to parties and forget about it? Because I care. I care. It bothers me what I see. It bothers me, the suffering. That's why I am devastated. That's why I cry a lot. But for a lot of people, they cannot understand it. They go by Esther Hicks Abraham, which is a horrible name. It's a I have only negative association with that word, with that name Abraham, from the Bible and from the Old Testament. I think Esther Hicks is Orthodox Jewish. She chose that name Abraham, of course. It didn't just come to her from the infinite universe. It is her association with the father of all humans, because it comes from the Abrahamic religions, from the Jewish religion, from the Torah, from the Old Testament, of course. The guy who was willing to sacrifice his own child, to me is so extremely atrocious and negative. And if anyone can use that association, can you possibly use that for their own lives as some kind of guideline, then we're in real deep trouble. And that's why we are. That's why the planet is in such horrendous trouble. That's why we're overpopulated, and that's why there's so much suffering going on with religious sacrifices and other incredible atrocities, because these religions that lean on those types of things just keep perpetuating themselves, and they speak to psychopaths too. And I don't know how to fix all of this. I really don't know, and I'm not going to offer any solutions, because I don't think humans can actually deliver a solution for this. It would have to be a machine, but in the meantime, all I can offer is maybe I am here, I have the same thoughts as many others, very sensitive people. I've already talked to some in the past. And I know these people exist, and anyone who likes the books by David Foster Wallace will probably somewhat identify with what I'm saying, because David Foster Wallace basically complained about these things in a more entertaining way and with more humor, but it was basically the same thing that he was also accusing in society. And he also offered the alternative, which is true love to the world, by his own example, his own lifestyle, his own way of living, that true love is the love that goes beyond our species, that connects all living beings to one another equally much. It's a message that seems to be moving ahead very, very slowly because of these Abrahamic religions. And then Esther Hicks, on top of it, although there are some of the concepts that she's discussing, they are true. That doesn't mean that everything she says is now some kind of guideline, for our lives, because what she does is she sneaks into the truth part things that are extremely psychopathic and uncaring and corporate. It's a corporate message, and that's why I say be careful about it. Be careful about her message, because it is basically a corporate message. It's a pyramid scam type of corporation, Scientology, similar, any type of large corporation, that has gained power. They don't want people to be independent. They don't want people to be empowered, even though Scientology teaches empowerment, but then fall right back onto a hierarchical system and do exactly that what they criticized in the beginning, what this is all supposed to teach, so to make the society a better place. But then they fall right back onto the same patterns they have accused because of hierarchy and power hunger. So power hunger will never allow other people to become empowered. That's why the only teachers that you should choose are the ones who do not have power and do not want power. Not in a self-empowered, but not in a way of hierarchy, not in a way of a social system. Those are the real teachers are not the ones who are mentally bloated, who want to see themselves as super badass or something. Those are not your teachers. So always go by that. That's your psychology test. That's your ethics test. Choose the ethical teachers, the ones who are humble in the sense that they do not want to hold a powerful position over anyone. The ones who are not declared gurus or mega authorities in any way of anything. Okay. The ones who always are themselves. They may have accumulated knowledge, and they love to share that, but they do not put themselves above you. And that is what is so incredibly important. That's the main thing to pay attention to. So, yeah. And so, I don't know, this is gonna get too long probably.